We pick up where we left off with Gu-won and do-hee passionately kissing. Gu-won informs do-hee that his powers are fully back, and she is happy he can protect her now. They then head home and consummate their marriage. The following morning, they go on a cute breakfast date in the hotel they first met. Gu-won is happy that do-hee has a day off and insists on doing couple stuff. He even gets sulky when the restaurant says they don't offer couple set meals until Christmas. Nonetheless, they enjoy themselves and have the most heartwarming date near the Han River. Do-hee tries to help Gu-won understand humans and their emotions. On the other hand, Gu-won is surprised by how he feels for do-hee and sulks when she refuses to call him hubby. My poor heart is about to burst from their cuteness. Meanwhile, Suwon tails the couple and takes photos of them. After a fun-filled day, the two return home, and do-hee's anxiety is triggered when she hears the song Gwangkol played when attempting to kill her. Gu-won notices this and later asks her to dance to the song and create new happy memories instead. What a sweet husband our demon is. Elsewhere, Sukmin orders the shareholders to speed up the special stockholders meeting to elect a new chairperson. He says he pays them to handle such challenges and won't accept no for an answer. He also reveals that he plans to make Do Jaeyoung feel deprived, just like his mom did. That way, Do Jaeyoung will work hard to get to climb the ladder. He intends to fix Do Jaeyoung up and use him. On the ride back home, Do Jaeyoung receives a message on his second phone, and he lies to his dad that the phone is meant for girls and promises to handle the matter. At the same time, Sukmin also gets a message. We also see another man in black gloves reading a message. The message is from someone saved as enforcer, asking why the recipient has been quiet and if they have abandoned them. We also learn through a flashback that Sukmin saw his mom the night she got into an accident. She was washing herself up frantically in the shower, saying she must cleanse herself of her sins. He believes his mom hated him and his family because she saw herself in their darkness. He claims Cheon-suk hated her blood. The following day, Do-hee and her hubby wake up in great moods, but their bliss is short-lived after receiving a call from Daejong. She informs Do-hee that Sukmin sent the papers for Do-hee to give up on her inheritance legally. Gu-won asks Do-hee to think it over and promises to protect her as he is fully healed. She insists she needs to sign the papers to enjoy her peace. She has been happy lately and thinks it is a small price to pay if she can get her peace of mind. Gu-won suggests they find the assassin first before she signs her inheritance away. He feels she will regret it and live in fear if she gives up now. Do-hee agrees but says seeing the culprit won't change her mind. Unfortunately, he tries to use his powers to track Gwangkol but fails. He simply deduces he must not be charged enough, and they decide to try again later. Sukmin visits Do-hee and asks to speak privately to her. He asks why Do-hee has been acting out of character since she met Gu-won. He is also concerned that she will regret her decision, but she assures him she is good and thanks him. On his way out, Sukmin calls Gu-won aside and asks if he is a vampire. Gu-won jokes that Sukhoon might be interested in him since he is paying too much attention to him. They talk more, and Sukhoon asks why Gu-won is standing by while Do-hee gives up everything. Gu-won assures him he is on it and won't let Do-hee give up so easily. Unfortunately, it might be too late as Do-hee signs the papers and asks Daejong to join her in drinking in celebration. Elsewhere, the police continue to track down the culprit after getting a sketch update from Gu-won. Remember, he saw Gwangchul's half-face. At the same time, Gu-won orders the wild dogs to use the sketch to find Gwangchul. He also warns Jae-young to stay out of his business, saying it is his fate and he will not abandon Do-hee at any cost. As night draws by, Do-hee and Daejong drink themselves into a stupor. They talk about their sacrifices in life and bond over their shared experience. After drinking so much, Do-hee calls Gu-won to pick her up. He is shocked to find her so drunk and tries to cut her off the alcohol. He also calls Bakyu to take Daejong home. This proves to be hard, frustrating Bakyu to no end. The only silver lining of his experience is he realizes that the full moon is almost here. Before heading home, Do-hee asks Gu-won to give her a piggyback ride, and he obliges. Do-hee opens up to her husband and admits she feels so happy. She, however, feels sad about Cheon-suk because she couldn't honor the woman's last wishes. Meanwhile, Guangchul converses with someone named Abraxas in the chat room. Abraxas says something is becoming troublesome, and they better nip it in the bud. Guangchul believes that Abraxas means Guwon and do-hee. The following day, the police finally identify Guangchul's identity using the sketch by Guwon. The wild dogs also call Guwon and inform him they found the culprit too. Unfortunately, Guangchul is burnt to death by Sukmin. Turns out Sukmin was working with Guangchul. He kills him since he is no longer needed. The police are on to Guangchul, and he is the bud that needs to be nipped. It is also revealed the two met in jail, and Sukmin helped Guangchul get released. Through a flashback, we also learn that Cheon-suk knew Sukmin killed someone again, and he blamed her for what he did. After killing Guangchul, Sukmin burns his gloves. By the time the police arrive, they find a body burnt beyond recognition with a knife in the chest. The police call do-hee and update her on the case. She and Guwon drop by the police station. However, Guwon asks Sukhoon to take do-hee home and heads to the office to look for something. He finds the bug Guangchul left in his office. Guwon realizes that Guangchul was killed because he was identified. The minute Guangchul's real face was exposed, he was done for. Guwon deduces the real mastermind is still out there, and they must find him. He asks Bakyu to use the bug and see if it will lead them to the real culprit. Bakyu asks him to wait a few more days for the full moon and regain his powers. He is worried Guwon might get hurt again without his powers. He is a mere mortal after all. As they talk, Guwon realizes that all the clocks in his office have stopped running. It dawns on him that his powers are entirely gone. He rushes to the hospital to check on the girl he healed and finds her in dire condition. He returns to Sunwoo, and all his contracts with human beings are burned. His whole world is crushing before his eyes, burning to the ground as the ashes scatter around him. At Sukmin's house, Se-ri finds the unburnt pieces of Sukmin's gloves in the fireplace. She is shaken but pretends like it is nothing. During the ride home, do-hee tells Sukmin that, with the culprit dead, it is all over now. However, Sukhoon believes things are far from over. He suspects Guwon might have killed Guangchul for revenge. Scared about his fate, Guwon visits the beggar woman at the bus station, and she takes him to a restaurant. She reveals her powers and says she was the one who bestowed the demon powers on Guwon. In fact, Guwon has now turned fully human. Guwon asks if there is a way to get his powers back. Unfortunately, the answer proves to be another dilemma. For him to get his powers back, do-hee needs to die. We then see a hurt do-hee lying on the floor as her surroundings burn. Is she in danger? Elsewhere, Sukhoon meets with Ji-young to ask more about Guwon. Ji-young reveals that Guwon is a demon who tricks and brings misfortunes, leading humans to hell. We pick up where we left off with Guwon and the deity talking. Guwon is disappointed to learn that do-hee must die for him to get his powers back. The deity is clear that only one of them gets to live. She tells Guwon that the roulette of fate has already started rolling. Guwon is deeply troubled by the dilemma. On the other hand, Ji-young meets with Sukhoon and reveals Guwon's identity. She lies that Guwon has no good intentions with do-hee and might steal her soul. She mentions the tattoo and says that it is the source of Guwon's powers and why he needs do-hee. Sukhoon is troubled by this new information. He goes back to his office and starts researching demons. Suffice it to say, he gets even more concerning information. Elsewhere, things at Sukmin's house remain tense even after getting his wishes. Do-hee has already given up her inheritance, and he is all set to be the new chairperson. However, he keeps going back to the day his mom brought do-hee home. He instinctively knew what his mom was planning and marked do-hee as his enemy from their first encounter. He then deletes his messages with Guangchul from his phone, and Do-jaeyoung sees this on his cloned phone. Why is he cloning his dad's phone? After thinking about his choices, Guwon returns home and tries to put up a happy facade. He and Guwon enjoy their time together. They try to enjoy the salty cake do-hee made, talk about the end of the world, and fall asleep watching a movie. Guwon wanted to stay up all night, but do-hee succumbed to sleep. Guwon talks about his fear of losing her. He later takes her to bed, and she speaks in her sleep, asking him to stay. Sadly, Gu-won reveals he is going away to a place she won't be able to reach. He realizes the full moon is out and decides to visit the deity to make a new deal. The deity is surprised to see Gu-won so upbeat and hopeful. He says he chooses to struggle as much as possible to save himself and do-hee. He suggests they make a bet that if he gets his powers back, do-hee gets to live. The deity insists it won't happen and thinks Gu-won has baseless faith. Later that night, Gu-won stops by the office and asks Bakyu to get his things in order. Bakyu is surprised by this request as he realizes Gu-won is preparing to die. He spends the next day trying to stay strong, and Ji-young scares the truth out of him. The following morning, Gu-won tells do-hee about the full moon and a way to get his tattoo back. Do-hee is happy that there is a tangible solution and suggests they use this trip to Saksho as their honeymoon. She is unaware of the stakes riding on this. She heads to the office and works half a day. Mostly, she spends her time online trying to create the perfect honeymoon. Her bliss is short-lived when Ji-young visits her. Elsewhere, Suwon continues to worry about do-hee's retaliation. Sukmin checks whether his son handled the girl's issue. However, Sara interrupts their conversation. Nonetheless, it seems Sukmin is wary of his son. Back to Gu-won, he visits the police station and talks to the detectives about Gwangchul's case. He worries they might think he is a suspect and wants to clear his name. He then admits he is scared that the knife on Gwangchul's chest was a message to either him or do-hee. It was the same knife Gwangchul used to attack him. He is aware that he might die later that night, and as such, he asks the police to protect do-hee. The scene cuts to do-hee and Ji-young's conversation. Ji-young reveals the stakes at play, and do-hee is stressed after finding out Gu-won wants to sacrifice his life for her. Ji-young gives her a poison bottle and asks her to die instead. However, Gu-won interrupts their conversation and scolds Ji-young. He reminds her of her place in his life, saying she is nothing to him. Ouch! On the other hand, do-hee demands to know the truth and asks for time to think. She visits Bakyu, and he clarifies everything for her. After mulling over it, she decides to be hopeful. She tells Gu-won they will fight till the end. Gu-won is touched and embraces her. In the meantime, Ji-young continues to be a pain. She visits Suk-hoon and tells him he is in danger of losing her soul. She tells him he has the last chance to save her during the tattoo transfer ritual. Back to our couple, Gu-won and do-hee head to the beach and try to be positive. They reminisce all their moments while waiting for the full moon to rise. As the night deepens, they prepare for the ritual. They hope for the best but fear losing each other if things go south. At the same time, Suk-hoon is on his way to save do-hee. Concurrently, Sukmin is finally announced as the new chairperson in a big ceremony. In his speech, he promises to do his best. However, Suwon continues to worry this seems too good to be true. She tries to warn Sukmin, but he is too full of himself. He is happy he got one over his mom and became the company's chairman. He says he is finally the devil she thought him to be. Meanwhile, Gu-won and do-hee stop by the gas station to buy some things. Do-hee goes into the shop to buy a postcard and a cake to celebrate later. At this point, it is revealed that Sukmin found out about Do-jaeong cloning his phone. He then proceeded to torture his son by branding him with an iron stick. Sukmin says he intends to fix his son and use him. Sara hides in the room and puts on earphones to avoid hearing Do-jaeong's screams. Sukmin asks his son to prove his worth. In turn, Do-jaeong drives into the convenience store do-hee is in while she is on a call with Suk-hoon. Suk-hoon says he is on his way to save her, but she asks him to keep his distance. By the time Gu-won gets to do-hee, the convenience store is on fire. Coincidentally, Suk-hoon and Ji-young arrive at the same time. Ji-young tries to stop Gu-won from saving do-hee, but he says he can't live without her. He rushes in, and Ji-young worries the couple will die together. On the other hand, Suk-hoon is surprised to learn the real stakes. However, he doesn't rush in to save do-hee. It seems he gets a panic attack. However, he recovers and calls for help. Meanwhile, Gu-won enters the burning building and sees the goodbye letter do-hee wrote. She wanted to sacrifice herself and hoped he would understand. Gu-won passes out after being hit by falling debris. The scene cuts to the deity watching the drama unfold. She is not surprised that the couple chose each other. She believes it is human nature and destiny to make such choices. Thankfully, Gu-won gains consciousness and crawls towards do-hee. As soon as he holds her hand, the tattoo transfers to him, and he saves them both. Suk-hoon and Jae-young are relieved to see Gu-won walk out carrying do-hee. Do-hee wakes up and asks how they are both alive. He tells her the tattoo returned to him, and they stare lovingly and in disbelief at each other. We pick up with Gu-won saving do-hee from the burning convenience store. He explains that he was able to save her because the tattoo was transferred back to him. We still don't know how this happened, why, and the consequences. However, our lovebirds are okay, and that is what matters. Perhaps it is due to the choices they made in these dire moments. They were ready to die for each other. Did their love move fate? The following morning, Gu-won wakes up in a great mood. His powers are back, and the love of his life is safe. He might be the happiest guy on earth. However, he still worries that do-hee needs time to recover even though she assures him she is okay. They get ready for the day together and decide to match their outfits. Ah, people in love. They head to the office after a blissful morning walk. Gu-won insists on gloating at the Arabica lady that he won. He tells do-hee that the lady is his boss but doesn't expound further. Let's hope his gloating doesn't bite him in the ass later. Meanwhile, at the office, do-hee and Dae-jong continue to feel awkward following their last drunk encounter. Gu-won continues to be in a great mood and even celebrates his birthday. He returns to his office and is greeted by the gang. He is glad they helped found Gwangchul and happily agrees to be their leader. Bak-yu is also happy to have Gu-won back to his obnoxious, powerful self. Even Jae-young is happy but worried that Gu-won is mad at her. Given the stunt she pulled, she deserves the silent treatment from Gu-won. With his powers back, Gu-won sets out to find a human to trick into a new deal. He finds an old man who wishes his sick wife would recognize him one last time before she dies. Gu-won agrees to help the old man but fails to understand why he would sign up for hell just for a few minutes with his wife. The man explains he must say something to his wife before she departs the world. As the wife recognizes him, the man thanks her and expresses his love for her. The wife dies after promising to meet her husband even in her next life. After watching this deeply touching scene, Gu-won is surprised to see himself crying. Is he still human? He struggles with his emotions but denies feeling any mercy towards human beings. He returns to do-hee's office, and they discuss finding the person behind Gwangchul. They deduce that only a few people knew about their plans in Sokcho. First, there is Bak-yu, Suk-hoon, Jae-young, and Dae-jong. Gu-won argues that Dae-jong is the most suspicious of all, and they start tailing her. They are surprised to discover she is in a steamy affair with Bak-yu. These two started dating after the drunken night that Bak-yu took Dae-jong home. They went from enemies to friends so fast. Nonetheless, we are so happy for them. Even though Dae-jong is not confident yet about the relationship, we can only hope she will overcome her fears with time. After failing to burst Dae-jong, do-hee and Gu-won return home and get busy. Gu-won doesn't want Dae-jong and Bak-yu outdoing them in the relationship department. After a rather hot night, Gu-won has a recurring dream about Wulsim, the woman from his past. This time, he is unable to see her face but recognizes she was wearing his cross necklace. He heads straight to the bus station to ask the Arabica lady more questions. She is the deity, so he figures she will have answers for him. As usual, she doesn't answer him directly. Instead, she asks him to figure out why he erased his memories of Wulsim. She says they must have tormented him too much. Lastly, she cautions him that people fated together will find each other one way or another. She believes fate repeats itself. This troubles Gu-won, who returns to his office and mulls over what the deity said as he watches Jae-young dance. On the other hand, Suk-min is in a bad mood after learning that do-hee survived the accident. He visits do-hee at the office and tries to act like he wants to help her. He brings her an old photo of her parents with Chun-suk. He adds that he wants to help her expand her company into the U.S. market. He claims they are family and should support each other. Gu-won finds Suk-min on his way out and starts teasing him. Suk-min notices the tattoo is back on Gu-won's arm. The photo Suk-min brought brings up do-hee's childhood memory. She remembers how Chun-suk helped her cope with insomnia after her parents died. She opens up more to Gu-won and says she blames herself for her parents' death. She believes her dad got into an accident because he was rushing home after she threw a tantrum. Gu-won comforts her and promises to stay by her side. Suk-hoon also drops by do-hee's office and promises to help her find out why Suk-min is acting friendly. He visits Suk-min's family, and they share a meal. Suk-min lies that Do-jaeong is in the US while we know Do-jaeong is being treated in a secret room. Do-jaeong sustained burns during the collision, and Suk-min wants him to get treated before surrendering himself to the police. He believes Do-jaeong is a failure but insists on using him till the end. Suk-min wants Do-jaeong to take the blame for killing Chun-suk, Gwang-chul, and the attempted murder of Do-hee. While snooping around the house, Suk-hoon doesn't find Do-jaeong but comes across the demon manual hidden in one of the rooms. He calls Do-hee and tells her about the mysterious green book. By the time Gu-won and Do-hee teleport to the house, the book is long gone. At the end of the day, they trace Do-jaeong at the police station, where he confesses his crimes. He insists he killed Chun-suk, making Do-hee lose it in a fit of anger and confusion. She finds it hard to believe Chun-suk died over Do-jaeong's illusions. He says the devil in him ordered him to do it. Do-hee worries that Do-jaeong might be faking a mental illness to escape the consequences of his crime. However, there is nothing they can do until Do-jaeong is mentally evaluated. Sadly, Gu-won believes that Do-jaeong is not faking it. As expected, Suk-min acts surprised but calls the Commissioner General and asks him to keep his son's arrest a secret. He orders Sara to lie that Do-jaeong is on a business trip and blames her for their son's behavior. Later, Suk-hoon and Gu-won patch things up over a few drinks. Suk-hoon vows to be a priest and exorcise Gu-won if the latter hurts Do-hee. Suk-hoon is a funny one, but he might be on to something. After a few drinks, Gu-won takes Suk-hoon home and heals his broken arm as a gift. On the other hand, Jae-young makes up with Do-hee and finally accepts that Gu-won will never be hers. Although she continues to act indifferent, we can tell there is no longer bad blood between her and Do-hee. In the evening, Gu-won and Do-hee return home and continue to give us heartwarming, newly married vibes. Aren't they so cute when they bicker? Once again, Gu-won has the recurring dream, but he finally sees Woolsom's face this time. Turns out to be none other than Do-hee. According to his dream, it looks like he went on a rampage and killed her. He wakes up startled and sweaty. The fear in his eyes as he looks at a sleeping Do-hee can only mean one thing. He is scared that he killed her in the past and fate will repeat itself. We see Gu-won pondering whether there is such a thing as a given fate. Is it impossible for humans to escape the frame of fate and make their own destiny? Through a flashback, we travel back to 200 years ago when the love story of Woolsom and young Master Yi-sun started. We are first introduced to Yi-sun, a dashing young man from a noble family, pampered by his dad, loved by the villagers. He was known for being a young man who indulged in various pursuits while refusing to study. One fateful day, he chooses to skip his lessons to go flower watching near the river. There, he came across a beautiful flower named Woolsom, who was practicing her sword dance. She immediately enchanted him as she moved ever so gracefully while dancing. Indeed, Woolsom was a rare beauty to behold. However, she had heard about Yi-sun and wished to keep her distance from him. However, Yi-sun made it his mission to make her notice him. Even after learning she is a Kizaeng from Hanyang who recently relocated to the village. He was determined to befriend her, so he started visiting the river, always pretending to study. As the days passed, Woolsom could no longer ignore the handsome lad who wanted her attention. They got close, and she confessed she was sent to the village because she refused to dance for a powerful man back in Hanyang. Woolsom believes she is lucky to be alive after disobeying such a man. She has no disillusions about her status in life and wishes to keep a low profile, living life without trouble. She knows that Yi-sun can't marry her, and the best she can hope for is to be his concubine. Her thoughts change the more she spends time with Yi-sun, who turns to Catholicism and tries to teach her they are equal. These teachings come as a salvation to them, given the society's insistence that status is important. They both join the faith and continue spending their time together. They dream of a day when everyone can be treated with respect and allowed to mingle regardless of their status. They promise to wed as soon as Isun passes his state examination. As a promise to return, Isun gives Wulsum a cross necklace to remember him by while he is away. Sadly, when Isun leaves for his state examination, his servant updates Isun's father about his son's relationship with Wulsum and his newfound faith. At the same time, the elders become wary of the new religion, saying it is threatening the Confucianism the nation was built on. A war against the Catholics started, and many people were killed and their houses burnt. To save his village, Isun's dad sacrifices Wulsum and outs her as a Catholic. Wulsum is arrested and interrogated about the cross necklace. She refuses to give up Isun and is sentenced to death. Unfortunately, Isun arrives after she has been slain and watches her die. In fury and anger, he turns against those who sacrificed Wulsum and kills them all. It was a bloody ending to an ill-fated love story cursed by society's biases. After killing everyone, Isun commits suicide because he lost faith in God and humanity. Presently, Guwon wakes up from his dream, riddled with guilt over what happened to Wulsum. He blames himself as he was the one who introduced her to the Catholic faith. He also worries that fate might repeat itself and he will hurt do-hee. His wife wakes up and notices something is off with Guwon. He admits he had a nightmare and remembered the woman from his past. Do-hee is jealous and asks how the relationship ended. Of course, Guwon lies that the relationship had an insignificant ending. However, his demeanor troubles do-hee, and she starts overthinking. Ultimately, she decides to give him space and time to open up about his dreams. On the other hand, Guwon visits the deity and laments why he was turned into a demon. The deity informs him that his grudge towards human beings made him the best candidate for the job. Guwon finds it ironic that his faith was rewarded in such a manner. However, the deity cautions him that faith is dangerous and shows no remorse for turning Guwon into a demon. Instead, she asks if Guwon is mad at himself and worried about the future. She says that when the tattoo was transferred back to Guwon, he entangled their fate again, allowing misfortune to strike. Her words anger Guwon and she insists it is a fate he created and must see it through. Guwon heads to his office and stares at the painting, finally understanding its meaning. He tells Bakyu about the memories from his past. Bakyu worries, but Guwon says he won't tell do-hee the truth. He argues it will hurt her for no good reason. His despair causes him to say something worrying to Sukhoon when they run into each other in the elevator. Elsewhere, Seare visits her son in prison and encourages him to hang in there. She says Sukmin will get him out in no time. However, Do-jaeong blames her for allowing Sukmin to hurt him. He says he has always protected her, but she has only watched from the sidelines. Seare claims that it was because Do-jaeong disobeyed his father and needed to be punished. Her son breaks down and loses it. Before being escorted by the guard, Do-jaeong warns his mom to prepare for her turn. He must be alluding to what Sukmin will do to Seare. After the prison visit, Seare goes shopping. She gets a call and faints from shock at the store. Concurrently, Do-hee receives a call, and she shockingly informs Sukhoon and Guwon of the passing of Do-jaeong. Do-jaeong died after it was established he suffered from a variety of mental illnesses. According to the official report, he committed suicide, but Seare is suspicious of her husband. She also has a burn wound on her arm. It is unclear if she hurt herself or if Sukmin burned her. We know that is one of his punishment methods. At the funeral, Sukmin apologizes to Do-hee and asks her to remain silent for the company's sake. He insists that silence is best for the family and the company. Once again, he makes it look like he sees Do-hee as family, but that's a lie. Thankfully, Do-hee is onto him and doesn't buy the crap he is spewing. As expected, Suwon causes a scene at the funeral, and Sukmin calms her down. He cleverly gets her to behave accordingly by mentioning that her children are the only heirs left. You could literally see the dollar signs floating on Suwon's eyes after realizing this. Gu-won and do-hee leave the stifling funeral. She asks to pay respect to Chun-suk. While there, do-hee admits she feels angry even after the culprit was caught. She feels like Do-jaeong never got his punishment. She hopes time will heal her pain, and Gu-won says it will. Meanwhile, our new lovebirds, Bakyu and Dejong, have a date in the park and are nearly busted by their colleagues. Bakyu invites Dejong to Jaeyoung's performance the following night, but she turns him down. She is still unsure about the relationship and wants to keep a fine line between work and personal time. The performance night rolls by, and Jaeyoung announces she will leave as soon as she is done. She warmly accepts Do-hee's flowers and promises not to bother them anymore. She is no longer hung up on Gu-won. Let's say she saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and there was no Gu-won. She delivers a fantastic performance, but it reminds Gu-won of Wulsim. He finally comes clean to Do-hee about the people he killed in his past. He shares his fear of making her miserable, but Do-hee says she doesn't care. As long as they are together, she will take being miserable any given day. As Jaeyoung's dance ends, Do-hee and Gu-won hold hands. They are sure their love will see them through the good and the bad times. It will save them, and they will defy fate and have a happy ending. Maybe that's true, but it remains to be seen. Elsewhere, a priest prays for God's protection. We also see Chun-suk the night Do-hee's parents died. She saw Gu-won as he came to collect his dues. It looks like Gu-won had made a deal with Do-hee's parents. But what was the deal? We see Gu-won mischievously smiling at Chun-suk. Did she get into a contract with him? We see the priest earnestly praying for God's protection. The scene cuts to a flashback of Chun-suk's confession that she saw the devil and regretting her greed. She must be recounting her encounter with Gu-won the night Do-hee's parents died. Presently, Gu-won and Do-hee are at his office. Gu-won is finally revealing his past to her. After hearing the whole story, she embraces and comforts him. Gu-won is determined to make their story a happy ending and uses his magic to give a firefly show. He believes this is a second chance for him to change their ending. But is it? The following day, Gu-won visits the deity and asks if he stands a chance to fight against fate. As expected, she answers him in riddles because where is the fun in giving a direct answer? She tells him that misfortune helps humans appreciate their happiness. However, Gu-won is of a different opinion. As he leaves, the deity mutters to herself that happiness is also poisonous to humans. Is this a foretelling of some sort? Gu-won returns home and wakes up his wife. As a sweet, dutiful husband, he uses his powers to make her breakfast. Afterwards, they head to work and plan their first Christmas together. Sadly, on their ride to work, they witness an accident, which reminds Do-hee about her parents' death, and she gets sad. Gu-won meets with Suk-hoon to ask how he can make Do-hee happy. Suk-hoon explains that Do-hee was her happiest before her parents' death. Do-hee is scared and feels guilty about being happy too, given that she has lost all the people she loves. Suk-hoon fears that Do-hee is sadder since she has nothing to distract her. Before, she was distracted by finding Chun-suk's killer. Now, she is scared to be happy because she thinks Gu-won might leave her soon. In the meantime, Do-hee and her employees collaborate with Sunwall to launch their new product. Gu-won approves but worries that Do-hee is pushing herself too hard. Later at night, he sees her having a nightmare and enters her dream. He changes her nightmare and gives her a beautiful dream about reuniting with her parents and Chun-suk for Christmas. This was such a touching scene. The next morning, he gets a Christmas tree, and they promise to decorate it together. They then have a blissful morning getting ready for work. All things considered, Gu-won does his best to make Do-hee happy. He even gets a reading from one of Do-hee's employees and picks the lover's card that means completion of love. This inspires him to get flowers for Do-hee. Ego, what a sweet husband. Gu-won is not the only guy trying his best. Bakyu continues to assure Dejong and even goes the extra mile to deliver lunch to her. However, he fails in this mission, and they continue to hide their relationship, giving us hilarious scenes. The only sad one in Sunwall is Jaeyoung. She plans to leave soon and makes up with Gu-won. Elsewhere, Sukmin meets with the shareholders and announces he is changing things. He wants to discontinue the Industrial Accident Compensation Committee that his mom started. He also wants to switch at least 30% of the company's full-time workers to part-timers. On the other hand, his wife downs pills like they are candy and continues to reflect on her last conversation with Do-jaeong. The day was going well for everyone except Suwon since her children's tutor quit. Do-hee, Suwon and Sukhoon receive a call from Sukmin inviting them for dinner. Of course, Do-hee is reluctant to go, but Sukmin uses her fondness for Chun-suk to get her to accept the invite. Afterwards, Sukmin discovers Sara isn't as oblivious as he thought after he finds her looking through his safe. She finds the demon manual but still seems too scared of Sukmin to rebel. Meanwhile, Gu-won starts burning and makes a new deal. He runs into the mafia gang and asks them to consider a different line of work. Night draws by, and Gu-won and Do-hee reluctantly prepare for Sukmin's dinner. The dinner turns out to be a ploy to get the family members to sell their shares to him. Do-hee and Sukhoon outright refuse, and Suwon says she needs more time to consider it. Do-hee and her husband leave after asking if Sukmin didn't know what Do-jaeong was up to. Gu-won notices Sara's burn mark but remains silent. Sukhoon leaves immediately, too, but as Suwon leaves, Sukmin announces that his kindness ends that night. The following day, Sukhoon finds out about Sukmin's new orders for the company. In anger, he barges into an unofficial board meeting and confronts Sukmin. The latter finds Sukhoon's passion funny and mocks him. Sukhoon promises to use the media to fight Sukmin, but this does nothing to shake the new chairman. Sukmin calls someone and asks them to inform the board about a motion to fire Sukhoon. Sukhoon leaves and calls Do-hee to tell her about Sukmin's latest move. Concurrently, Sara is hospitalized by her husband, and Gu-won decides to visit her. He is hoping to get his demon manual back. At first, Sara is uncooperative, but Gu-won explains he is giving her only one chance to save herself. Sara thinks it over and confesses that Sukmin is behind everything. He killed his mom, Do-jaeong, and attempted to kill Do-hee several times. Meanwhile, Do-hee confronts Sukmin in his office, and he drops a bombshell on her. He claims that Chun-suk killed Do-hee's parents. He plays her a recording of her dad threatening Chun-suk. It turns out that Chun-suk put aside employees' welfare to secure a big investment when the company was on shaky financial grounds. Sukmin says his mom was more evil than him, but she suddenly changed after Do-hee's parents died. Of course, Do-hee refuses to believe him and they get into a physical fight. Sukmin grabs Do-hee by her neck and starts strangling her. She does her best to fight back and stabs him in the arm with a pen. However, he is too strong for her, and she struggles to remain conscious. We see a flashback of Sara confessing to Gu-won that Sukmin is behind everything. Meanwhile, Sukmin is choking Do-hee in his office. Thankfully, Gu-won teleports to Do-hee and saves her. Things get intense, and Sukmin's bodyguards try to break down the door. This forces Gu-won to teleport the three of them to his favorite rooftop. At the rooftop, Sukmin is confident that Gu-won won't kill him. It is against the demon code of conduct. However, Gu-won says he will torment Sukmin until he begs for death. Do-hee asks Sukmin to surrender himself, but the latter is proud. He thinks he can get away with his crimes. Gu-won clarifies that Sara is on her way to the police and has a mountain of evidence against her husband. Upon hearing this, Sukmin changes his stance and begs Gu-won to get into a contract with him. He wants to keep his crimes a secret, but Gu-won refuses to grant his wish. Ultimately, Sukmin decides to free himself from Gu-won's grip and falls to his death. Suwon is surprised to hear of her brother's crimes and death and weeps at the police station. Even the detectives are shocked by the turn of events and the motives behind Sukmin's crime. The media immediately picks up on the story. Do-hee and Gu-won head home. He apologizes for being late to save her and heals her wound. Sukhoon arrives to check on Do-hee, and we learn that Sukmin's body is missing. Does this mean he is still alive, but how? Do-hee tells the two gentlemen about her last conversation with Sukmin. She is worried that he might be telling the truth about her parents' death. Sukhoon thinks Sukmin was lying and tells Gu-won it would break Do-hee if Sukmin is to be believed. Gu-won continues to worry about his wife and promises to be there for her. He says as long as she calls his name, he will appear. The following morning, the priest reads about Sukmin's death in the newspaper. The media keeps calling, asking for details of Sukmin's death. They are hoping to interview do-hee since she was at the scene. However, her team clarifies that she is not to be bothered. Do-hee's employees worry about her and the company's future, too. Nonetheless, do-hee believes it will blow over soon. Elsewhere, Ji-young visits Suk-hoon to apologize and say goodbye. The mafia gang tries to turn a new leaf by opening a restaurant, and Sara visits Gu-won to return the demon manual. He asks her about Sukmin's words to do-hee. Sara claims it is possible because Sukmin was so sure his mom was evil. This worries Gu-won, who confides in Bakyu and asks what he would do if he were in do-hee's position. Bakyu answers that he would try to forget about it, and Gu-won questions if that is possible. At the office, do-hee has a hard time forgetting Sukmin's words. She does some more digging on Chun-suk and asks De-jong a few questions. De-jong used to work for Chun-suk as a secretary and reveals that Chun-suk got her knee injury after do-hee's parents' death. However, the employees were told that it was a chronic illness. The more she looks into it, the more questions arise. Once Gu-won returns, she asks him to help her find the truth. They head to Chun-suk's office, and do-hee sees the crucifix the former used to keep. This reminds her of the priest. They visit the church and are welcomed by the priest. He was expecting her and wants to tell her the truth per Chun-suk's wishes. It turns out that after do-hee's parents blackmailed her, Chun-suk followed them in her car. This led to a wild car chase. Chun-suk had prioritized financial gain over her employees' safety, and he would not let the matter go. At the same time, do-hee's dad knew his time was running out. He had signed a contract with Gu-won 10 years ago. He still wanted to save the employees and make it home to say goodbye to his daughter. As the car chase escalated, do-hee's parents lost control of their car and got into an accident. Gu-won soon arrived and refused to sign another contract with do-hee's dad. The man begged Gu-won to at least save his wife, but his plea was ignored. Gu-won informed him that humans only get one wish, and he will die of a heart attack. At the same time, do-hee was also calling her parents, and her dad died trying to reach the phone. Chun-suk witnessed all these and was scared when Gu-won approached her. Gu-won wanted to know her wish, but before she could speak up, the car blew up, and Chun-suk hurt her knee from the explosion. Do-hee is shocked to finally learn the truth and, most of all, to discover that Gu-won was also involved. However, she tries to act like everything is fine between them. Gu-won overhears her crying in the bathroom and feels guilty. Afterwards, he informs her he is going to sign a new deal and leaves. Do-hee spends the night thinking things over. Gu-won visits the priest, who warns him to stay away from do-hee. He reminds Gu-won that he met Chun-suk 10 years ago when he led do-hee's father to hell. The priest believes Gu-won will hurt do-hee more and advises him to stop before matters worsen. After meeting with the priest, Gu-won goes to his favorite rooftop and gets a visit from the deity. The deity wanted Gu-won to discover by himself why he and do-hee could never be. Gu-won was worried about hurting do-hee, not knowing he had already done this in the past. This is a great pain to all involved parties. The deity comforts Gu-won, telling him it is not his fault he couldn't remember what happened that night. It was many years ago, but we don't know what deal do-hee's dad made. Gu-won returns home and finds do-hee has already left. He tracks her to Chun-suk's grave. He overhears her, wondering if she would have fallen in love with him if she knew the truth. This saddens him, and he leaves before he can hear her rationalize his motives that night. It seems that do-hee is still willing to give him a chance. Afterwards, do-hee drops by Sunwall to supervise the new product launch set to take place there. She runs into Gae-young, who wishes her happiness and says goodbye. Do-hee asks to see Gu-won, and Bakyu informs her that her husband is not around. He suggests she wait for him at his office. While there, a woman comes searching for Gu-won. She wants to cancel their contract since her time is up. Gu-won appears out of nowhere and refuses to help her. He says he is not an angel but a demon and watches the woman die. Do-hee watches this in horror and quickly rushes out after realizing what the clocks in Gu-won's office signify. She realizes her dad must have had one, and it dawns on her that Gowon didn't show him any mercy either. A few minutes later, Bakyu spots Gowon and informs him that do-hee is in his office. Gowon realizes she must have seen his ruthless demon side and chases after her. At the same time, Suk-hoon arrives and wonders why do-hee seems scared of Gowon. Gowon also notices this and pulls back. Suk-hoon takes do-hee to her office and asks what's wrong. Do-hee admits she is hurt by the people she loves and now detests them to death. In the meantime, Gowon visits the deity and says she was right. He feels like he keeps making do-hee miserable. The deity says that humans are always each other's hell. It has nothing to do with the fact that he is a demon. Later that night, Gowon waits for do-hee outside her office and asks her to go for a walk. Do-hee tries to hold on to him, discussing their Christmas plans and whatnot. However, Gowon asks her to save herself from her current hell and lets go of her hand. Do-hee is too scared even to turn and look. She keeps calling his name as tears stream down her face. Sadly, Gowon is gone, and she realizes this when she gathers the courage to turn back and look. We pick up with Gowon leaving do-hee out of guilt. Do-hee wanted to work things through, but Gowon didn't even give her a chance to give her opinion on their situation. Do-hee turns to see him gone and starts crying. Days go by, and do-hee tries to act strong. Given the Sukmin situation, it is not easy, but she has a company to run and so much to handle. She visits the chief prosecutor's office, who, in a funny twist, happens to be her original blind date. He informs her that the case has been closed since Sukmin is legally dead. However, we know that Sukmin's body is yet to be found. There is a high possibility he is alive. You know evil doesn't die quickly. Do-hee still asks the prosecutor to look into the case because there are many unanswered questions. At the office, many workers wonder where Gowon is. On the other hand, Suwon mourns her new reality. We know Suwon is not one of our favorites, but it was heartbreaking to see how her kids comforted her as her new reality dawned. Meanwhile, in Sunwall, Ji-young continues her preparation to leave. She recalls her last conversation with Gowon, where she found more closure. She acknowledges taking her obsession too far and ended up like this. We are glad she is doing some self-reflection. The mafia gang also grieves the disappearance of their leader and has a hard time with their new restaurant. On the other hand, Bakyu tries to keep the foundation going. He wonders if he should give the cross necklace to do-hee but decides against it. At the same time, his girlfriend does her best to look after do-hee. De-jong grows concerned seeing do-hee throw herself into work to forget her pain. She has been there after her divorce and advises do-hee to grief. Pain demands to be felt, and it is only after dealing with the pain that healing begins. Suk-hoon is also worried about do-hee and regularly drops by to ensure she eats and tries to cheer her up. We owe this man an apology because we thought he was a secret villain. Thankfully, he turns out to be a reliable man for do-hee. He is now the only family member do-hee can trust, and they promise to work together. Suk-hoon also sheds light on what Chun-suk felt about do-hee. He tells her about an old conversation where his aunt said loving do-hee brought her suffering because she felt guilty. As the days go by, we finally get to see Sukmin. He burned half of his face and hid among the homeless. He is planning his revenge carefully and waiting for the right time to strike. Clueless to this, do-hee carries on with her life, missing Gowon. She refuses to acknowledge she is suffering and feeling lonely. She comforts herself, saying she was always alone from the beginning anyway. However, Gowon always visits her when she sleeps and takes care of her. Even when she got drunk at a company outing, he healed her knee wound and safely put her to bed. Throughout the episode, we see do-hee missing her husband and those around her doing their best to take care of her. Bakyu gives her the cross necklace, which triggers her to remember her life as Wulsum. Wulsum was a lowly courtesan who wanted to kill herself, but Isun saved her life. Her meeting with Isun gave her a reason to live, something to look forward to. She then fell in love with him, and even when she was killed for being of Catholic faith, she didn't regret their encounter. After seeing her past life, do-hee understands Gowon better but wishes he had stayed with her. She rushes to their spot at the river bed, trying to find Gowon, but is kidnapped by Sukmin. Sukmin threatens to kill her if Gu-won doesn't show up. This evil sucker knew that Gu-won would always save do-hee. He claims he burned his face to avoid Gu-won finding him. Sukmin is highly delusional and blames everyone else for his downfall. He wants revenge against do-hee and Gu-won, yet he was the one who made all these bad decisions. To make Gu-won show up, he stabs do-hee in the leg and is about to slit her throat when the demon arrives. Gu-won is furious to see do-hee hurt, and his eyes burn red with anger. He uses his powers to drag Sukmin away from do-hee and has the roof cave in on him. Do-hee grows concerned that Gu-won will kill Sukmin and rushes to hug her husband, begging him to stop before it is too late. Finally, Gu-won comes to his senses once she assures him she is fine. He takes the caved-in roof off Sukmin. As they embrace each other, Sukmin gets his gun, and do-hee throws herself in front of Gu-won to save him. She gets hit and drops dead, and Gu-won is heartbroken. He quotes a scripture before breathing his life into her. She wakes up in Gu-won's arms and asks if he saved her. Gu-won smiles and says he saved himself. He starts combusting and slowly dissipating into thin air. Do-hee is inconsolable, as only Gu-won's wedding ring remains. All their moments from the first meeting start flashing, and the sadness is tangible in this scene. Imagine if you watched the person you love most disappear like this. We pick up where we sadly left off with Gu-won combusting. Do-hee is overwhelmed with tears, and so are we. Even the deity is moved by Gu-won's sacrifice and tears up. Meanwhile, all the clocks in Gu-won's office stop running. Bakyu, Ji-young and everyone in the know mourn Gu-won in their way. Following the death of Gu-won, Do-hee drowns in grief and is unable to do anything. The police arrest Sukmin, but he only keeps ranting and laughing to himself. Sukmin believes he won and is content with himself. The police think he is crazy and feel bad for Do-hee, who is unable to speak about the incident. The police believe she is reeling from shock and the fact that Gu-won is missing. After his arrest, he is given a death sentence. This means he can never leave the prison and will die there. It is little solace given all his evil actions, but it is nice to know that the ghost of his mom torments him. On the other hand, Sarah, his wife, tries to move on with her life and leaves the company to start a shelter for kids of domestic abuse. She apologizes to Do-hee and promises to try to be better. Do-hee commends her for the courage to speak up and bring change. We understand that Do-jaeong only wanted to save his mom and himself from Sukmin. Tragically, he was unable to. In all this, he was a victim of circumstance. Suwon also abandons her brother and tries her best to align herself with Do-hee and Sukhoon for the future of her kids. Ultimately, Sukmin ends up alone in prison, tormented by his mother's ghost. As expected, she grieves her husband. The sadness of losing Gu-won is not easy, but thankfully, she has Sukhoon and Do-jong looking after her. As it had been the Christmas season, she hoped to be with him. They had made plans, but Gu-won was no longer there with her. On Christmas Day, she heads to the spot by the river and makes a deal. The deity pities her and agrees to honor her wish. Do-hee asks for Gu-won's return and is moved when he suddenly shows up, and for a brief moment, time stops as water droplets float around her. Just like that, our sweet couple reunite and embrace each other. They have been through a lot, and they deserve a happy ending. Before dying, Gu-won made a deal with the deity. If you can recall, he bet on their survival when he was desperate to get his tattoo back safely. Given that he and Do-hee survived the tattoo transference, he won the bet. The deity also felt moved by his sacrifice and Do-hee's willingness to make a deal to get Gu-won back. As such, she granted Do-hee's wish and gave Gu-won his job back as a demon. Ultimately, even the deity became #Team Do-won and decided it was time this couple found their happiness. The couple hits the ground running, appreciating every moment. Gu-won finally reveals that Do-hee's dad asked him to save his pregnant wife and child. Do-hee is surprised to hear that the deal was meant to save her and understands that she got in years with her parents thanks to it. They celebrate their Christmas and finally return to work. Everyone is happy to see Gu-won. However, Sukhoon seems the happiest, given how many times he hugs Gu-won. After the dust settles, Sukhoon becomes the chairperson, and based on how he held the first shareholders' meeting, We can rest assured the company is in good hands. Do-hee backs him, and even Suan offers her support. Before leaving for England, Ji-young visits her old neighborhood and runs into a young girl abused by her father. Ji-young steps up to protect the girl since she is also reminded of how Gu-won saved her from her father. She opts to stay in Korea and be the angel this young girl needs. Ji-young's character development throughout this show is admirable, and we only wish she ended up with Sukun. Nonetheless, she is at a happier place, and we love her journey. While Bakyu and Dejong's relationship grows strong enough to come out publicly, Gu-won and Do-hee hit a minor rough patch. Thankfully, it is nothing serious, just their typical bickering. They still love each other. For months down the line, they are still dedicated to each other. The show ends with the couple kissing in the park and the deity smiling at them.